A century and a half ago, this was part of the American frontier. Gunnison, Colorado, where explorers searched for gold and silver that helped fuel the nation's economy. In the middle of Colorado's mountains, gold was discovered. From the rim of the Black Canyon, it was more than half a mile down to the Gunnison River, a hard place to get to and certainly no paradise once you were there. Exploring for gold was a difficult task. Today, another kind of gold, oil, takes modern explorers to places far beyond the imagination of those men and women of the early frontier. Located in the deep waters of the Gulf of Mexico, 155 miles southeast of Galveston, Texas, in 3,100 feet of water, where Kerr-McGee and its partners Nexen and Caldive discovered oil and natural gas reserves exceeding 100 million barrels of oil equivalent. And this place is also named Gunnison. Kerr-McGee Oil and Gas Corporation pioneered the use of floating spar production platforms. With its Neptune, Nansen, and Boomvang platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. Like Nansen and Boomvang, the Gunnison platform is a truss spar, the second generation of spar technology. At 549 feet long and 98 feet in diameter, it is slightly larger than those earlier platforms, allowing it to handle a larger workover rig and the extra tubing and fluids for deeper wells. The Gunnison spar is capable of delivering 40,000 barrels of oil and 200 million cubic feet of natural gas a day. Its construction, like that of its sister platforms, required worldwide logistics. The hull was fabricated in the Technic Mantiluoto works in Pori, Finland, while the Mustang-designed topsides were being built in the Gulf Island Fabricators Yard in Houma, Louisiana. All told, components of the project came from 14 nations spanning 4 continents. The project benefits from the company's industry-leading experience in spar technology. Despite its ocean-spanning logistics, construction of the more than 13,000-ton spar was completed ahead of schedule. But construction of the spar itself was only the most visible aspect of the immense undertaking. The remainder of the project takes place 3,100 feet beneath the surface of the Gulf of Mexico, where perpetual darkness and crushing pressures present an environment every bit as hostile to human life as outer space. Kerr-McGee's drilling and completion teams aboard the drilling rig Ocean Star utilized remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, for subsea tree installation and well completion. After spar installation, the company's deep water facility engineers also utilized ROVs to position umbilicals, flow lines, jumpers, leads, and manifolds to control and flow oil and gas from these previously drilled production wells. Deep-sea equipment was also employed to install the huge pilings and chains that anchored the spar in position. On August 21, 2003, the massive spar was towed into position. The Harima heavy lift vessel Boulder began the 12-hour process of flooding the keel and pumping seawater into the spar's variable ballast tanks to upend it. More than 8,000 tons of hematite iron ore would also be displaced into the keel tank as fixed ballast to stabilize it. Once the spar was upended, the Boulder remained on station to install mooring lines and the steel catenary risers that connect the spar to the oil and gas export pipelines. The final stage of assembly began with the 2-day journey of the topsides from Houma, Louisiana. On October 11th, the 4-level topside structure was brought alongside the spar and prepared for the installation. The Harima heavy lift vessel Hermod slowly and carefully lifted and maneuvered it into position. then lowered it precisely into place. This major milestone marked the end of a world-spanning fabrication effort that, despite its size and complexity, was completed within budget and ahead of schedule. In December of 2003, the first of Gunnison's 3 initial subsea wells was producing oil and natural gas, less than 26 months after development was sanctioned. By the end of the year, production from all 3 wells had reached 5,000 barrels of oil and 125 million cubic feet of natural gas. By the end of 2004, with 7 dry tree wells completed, production is expected to reach 30,000 barrels of oil and 180 million cubic feet of natural gas daily. One reason for the speed with which the Gunnison field came online was the standardization of many of the project's components, developed over Kerr-McGee's full decade of deep ocean production experience around the world. Experience that included enhancements to the latest in subsea technology, based on proven designs installed at Nansen and Boomvang. Gunnison will be followed by the 3rd generation of spar technology, the world's first cell spar for the Red Hawk field in 5,300 feet of water, now under development by Kerr-McGee. Fabrication is currently underway at the Gulf Marine Fabricators Yard in Ingleside, Texas. Unlike previous spars that have a single massive hull, the cell spar hull is made up of 7 20-foot diameter tubes. It is 11 feet longer, 34 feet smaller in diameter, and weighs a little over half as much as the Gunnison truss spar. It reduces the economic threshold for reserves, which will permit cost-effective development of deep-water fields with estimated reserves as low as 40 million barrels of equivalent. The deep ocean production capabilities represented by Gunnison, its predecessors, and its cell spar successor are the future of domestic deep-water offshore oil production. And that future will include still another new field in the deep waters of the Gulf, the Constitution Field on Green Canyon Block 680, 100% owned by Kerr-McGee. The deep-water innovations of the past decade are entirely in keeping with the Kerr-McGee tradition. We were the first company to drill a commercial oil well out of sight of land in 1947. We helped pioneer oil discovery and development in the North Sea, South China Sea, and onshore Indonesia. We have been at the forefront of every generation of spar platform development. And like those 19th century explorers of Colorado, today's oil and gas pioneers must seek opportunities in forbidden frontiers, searching for, finding, and producing a steady, affordable flow of oil and natural gas. And as it has been for the last 75 years, Kerr-McGee's commitment is to go wherever that search takes us. Kerr-McGee, a new world of energy.